This is my home, my bus, which I made over spring break this year. Well, come on in. I go to school locally at Bard College in the same town where I grew up. And so I was still living with my parents, a humble abode. And sort of for me, this was the cheapest and kind of coolest way for me to finally get out of my house and kind of have my own place. This right away is my desk where I get all my schoolwork done. Midway through my sophomore year, I started scouring around like Craigslist for cheap school buses, and then I found this. It used to be a used bookstore on wheels. Having a bus which I could just remove all the seats out of was sort of like a clean slate from which I could kind of build on, so that was kind of nice. I had basically a spring break to finish this before the semester started. From start to finish, it was 8 days. It wasn't that difficult. I didn't have really any building experience before, other than when I was little. I made a tree house, 2 tree houses, a couple tree houses, but I was never like a full... No, I had very little building experience. So here I have my living situation going on, contrary to the workstation going on here. This is sort of what powers all of the life essentials. So under here I have a nice big 30-pound propane tank, which at the moment does heating and cooking. I have a nice little gas stove here and an electric water heater, which is powered through I have 4 solar panels mounted on the top, which give me 400 watts of solar power, and I have 250 amp hours of battery storage, so that keeps me going for a while when there's no sun. Which is also able to power this fridge. It's just a little mini fridge, really energy efficient. I think it's like 50 watts or something. I don't really have a lot in there. Eggs, butter. Had some fruit in there. It's only like 50 watts, so it doesn't take too much of the solar power. It could be running all night. It's not a problem. Water. And then I have my water cooler, which I fill up every once in a while. And the last month I've been living out of here, I haven't needed to fill up once, because whenever I'm on the go, I just fill up my water bottle at bathrooms or water fountains and things like that. I don't know, I had a very specific sort of idea of what I wanted. Little medicine cabinet, which I found in my basement. It's just screwed on here. A little wire thing for when I'm driving around so things don't fly around. Yeah, some medicine stuff, Advil, cleanly things, deodorant, things get smelly. All the design ideas were just a convenient way to optimize whatever small space I had. So this is my little workstation. I was also looking a lot at like micro apartments and things like boats, and so I got really into that idea of what's the most efficient way you can kind of compress all of your things down into a small space. I was really trying to make a lot of use of some of the space restrictions that come with a minibus. So it's only about 90 square feet on the inside. And one of the things that are kind of in the way are the wheel wells. And so to make use of that sort of dead space, I figured it'd be good to just build storage space on top of it, on both sides. So down here is what I could maybe call a kitchen. It's really just an old apple crate that I recycled from the neighboring orchard. I don't know, it just has some staples, some rice and lentils, a few dishes, pots and pans. Really nothing else to it. I really don't bring too much food in here, but if I do want to have people over, it is possible that you could probably fit like maybe 10 people in here. I think the most I've had so far is 7, and it was crowded, but I don't know, there was a corner or 2 left over for spare, so definitely could have packed another few people in there. But it gets crowded really quickly. It's 90 square feet, and I think it's really absolutely enough to live in. Surprisingly, it really kind of surprised me how, I don't know, I grew up in kind of a big, spacious house, but I was able to, I don't know, kind of strip it all down to 90 square feet of space. I did sort of have to pick and choose which things I was really going to be living with in a 90 square foot type space. Over here, I have, I guess, what you could call a pantry. Some staples, non-perishables, rice, lentils, some dried fruit, some nuts, Keeps me going on a budget. It's good stuff. I was able to make more use of some of these recycled apple crate boxes as sort of like pull-out shelves, which is kind of a nice way of, especially when you're driving, you can kind of just turn it sideways, and then things are just sort of held in there. I mean, I tried to make a lot of storage space. I built kind of these shelves off of the wheel well, and then going up, it kind of also designed itself because you had certain restrictions like the wheel mounds, which you had to build off of to make use of the dead space. And then I was able to sort of screw this loft right in, which just gives me a lot of storage space. I mean, there are certain things you can and cannot screw into. It's an aluminum frame. Also the bus suspension, which I didn't quite think through prior to this, but definitely on an old bus especially, it can really change when you start adding a lot of weight to it. So for electricity, I have 4 mounted solar panels on the roof. It gives me 400 watts of solar power. It all came as a kit. So it comes down directly as DC current, and then it goes up into the charge controller, which regulates the charge going into the batteries. And then down below, I have 2 big deep cycle batteries, which each are 125 amp hours, so total is 250 amp hours, which gives me a lot of energy storage, so overnight and things like that, and when there's just days of very low sun, I can still be running a fridge and lights and charge my computer and things like that. And then that goes down here where we have the inverter, and so this just converts the DC power from the batteries and the solar into usable AC current. It's a fully functioning electrical socket type thing. I have a little Wi-Fi 4G, 3G type thing, which is very expensive to start streaming things, but I'm just doing homework. That left, coincidentally, a perfect amount of room for this 4.5 by 6 foot futon. I built this bed frame. The frame for the bed is actually old apple crates that I was able to get at the apple orchard that I have down the road. This futon flips back as a bed. I have it up as a couch now just because it's kind of nice to sit. It's kind of social. I have the desk there, so when people are there, you can kind of interact with them. And then above that I have my loft, which gives me lots of storage space, which also is where I have the propane heater, 10,000 BTUs. It heats up 300 square feet, and so for this slightly less than 100 square feet room, it works out really nicely. And when I'm not using it, I can just kind of stow it away. If things get too cold, I just throw on a hat in the nights, and I save propane, which is good. It has been quite difficult to find places to park. My college campus, certain liability issues coming with having some kid just parking and living out of his bus, so they weren't too keen on me living there, so they made me move out. I'm still allowed to park there during the day, but I can't sleep there. Well, this is the bed, futon, in couch mode, very easily. I have a little plank that just holds it up, but that's not really what I wanted. I wanted to be able to kind of leave it somewhere and return to it at night. Voila! Bed mode. Alright. So it's pretty spacious. That's good. So I really wanted to find a place where I could just leave it and live out of it. This Buddhist monastery that is in town, it's quite a lot of parking space, and as Buddhist monks are, they're just overwhelmingly generous and hospitable, and yeah, they let me park there. I can bike to school. So it's just been really rewarding. I have my own place, which I built, which is a weird feeling, but a really good feeling. The bus was definitely the cheapest way to go. The bus was $2,500, including all the solar panels and all that kind of stuff. The whole project was less than $5,600. So for $5,600, I don't know, I really feel like I was able to create something that I'll be able to live in for quite a while. I guess ultimately I don't want to live in this for the rest of my life, I don't think, but I want to continue my studies onto medical school. And so while I'm a student, I'm assuming that I'm going to be pretty poor for quite a while, and not really needing a whole lot more other than like a campus with a library and some books and things like that, internet connection. and it's sort of just like a base where I can do some studying, sleeping. I'm usually kind of out and about. Living in a small space it just feels much less cluttered, and I don't know, kind of stripped down to the things I actually really need. Shit, it's really wrinkled. When I was living at home, I had a lot of stuff which was just kind of overwhelming, and I never really felt like I had complete control over the space. Like the space was kind of ruling me, and now I feel like I can kind of just have a lot more control over my surroundings. We live in sort of a time where excess is sort of the name of the game, big and overwhelming and sort of overstimulating, and I think it's really offers a lot of peace of mind to sort of be in a smaller space that's sort of more just stripped down. In a way, it's weird that it makes, I don't know, me personally, it makes me feel like I have more room to breathe. Which is weird. It's a little counterintuitive, but I think it's true.